Hi, my name is Blair Dean. I am the drafting, architecture, and mechanical engineering teacher at Hoggard High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. This is my 13th year in public education, 8 specifically in this content area. I am nationally board certified, and I am also serve as the cluster lead for the county for drafting. I have a passion for best practices and in integrating them into CTE curriculum for professionally driven classrooms. So today we're going to be talking about connecting your classroom to the outside world while staying within your classroom. Teachers will learn practical ways for including industry and real-world relationships in our classrooms and for connecting your learners with homes and families. Before we can get started on kind of the meat to our presentation, we do need to go over the rationale why this is important.
Wondering why the younger generations aren't pursuing some of the most in-demand and high-paying careers? Well, we are too. So we asked a group of students to help us get to the bottom of it. The results are interesting. Here's how it worked. We provided a series of job titles and asked the kids to place them on the scale according to how cool they think each job is. Then we had them repeat the process, only this time we used an image to represent each job. We chose not to mention that they were actually the same jobs from the first exercise. The rankings for well-known careers like doctors, teachers, and carpenters remain relatively consistent in each exercise. However, the rankings for the STEM careers, they changed quite a bit. Why? Well, let's take mechanical engineer, for example. What do you think a mechanical engineer does?
Fixes, invents mechanical things like a football helmet, like anything. They fix mechanical stuff, like a mechanical bull or something. Things with technology, and sort of not really, but maybe fixes up a couple plumbing things. Yeah, builds a little bit.
If nobody knows what these careers are all about, how will they know if it's something they'd be interested in? As a country, we need more science, technology, engineering, and mathematics professionals. Employers are struggling to find the right talent to fill their open positions. Yet, only 6% of today's high school seniors will get a bachelor's degree in a STEM discipline. So what can we do? Inspire the younger generations to follow their passions while exploring fields that set them up for success. A career in a STEM field can be exciting, in demand, and in many ways part of something they're already passionate about. Help us shape the world of work.
All right, so as you can see, it is super important, that our classes are driven and shown and represented to students to help close the STEM gap. There are approximately 26 million STEM jobs out there right now, and even more probably in the current climate that we are in right now. When you include skills like manufacturing, construction, and other skilled labored positions. The largest STEM occupations are actually in the architectural, engineering, and related industries. That is us. That's super cool. We are relevant. We are needed. What we are doing is important. So how do we get industry into the classroom? How do we get students excited about our classes and understanding what it is that will drive them to possibly choose these career pathways? So we want to make sure we are connecting to content. We are reaching our diverse learners. So we're making sure we are really using the content and our curriculum to reach all different types of learners. When we include industry in our classroom, when we show students the industry, we're enriching and extending school learning. So it's not just about, hey, here's what I can show you that's important, but you connect it and you enrich it with outside influences. You're building employability, so any soft skills that you can teach students. When you connect them to industry inside of our classroom, you're building their employability, their chances at actually getting a job, and you develop soft skills capabilities. So again, a little bit with employability, developing your soft skills. So career and technical education overall, not just talking about drafting, but NCDPI calls out that our purpose is to empower students to be successful citizens, workers, and leaders in a global economy. And we're going to come back to that global economy in a little bit too. Designed to contribute to the broad educational achievement of students in basic skills. So they're basic skills that they are able to read, write, math, those sort of things, literacy. Work independently and as part of a team. Think creatively and solve problems, and utilize technology in the thinking and problem-solving process. And using some of the tools that I'm going to talk to you about today, we can accomplish a lot of this. We also want to talk about why it's important, our teaching standards. So teachers know the content that they teach. Teachers recognize the interconnectedness of content area disciplines, and teachers make instruction relevant to students. When we are connecting students with industry or home outside of the classroom, we are making it relevant to them. We are interconnecting other content and discipline areas. Teachers facilitate learning for their students. So we are planning appropriate instruction for them, and we are integrating and utilizing technology. Now, we all know field experiences are wonderful, right? Let's go on a field trip. Let's immerse ourselves outside of the classroom. They are great. Here's a picture of two of my students and I at a manufacturing facility here in Wilmington, and the other is my students at a virtual reality room at a local architecture firm. Now, these were great. This past year, it's been super hard. Obviously, we couldn't go on field experiences, but I was able to still link up with businesses that I had made connections with in the past, fostered relationships with other stakeholders in the community, and we did some virtual field trips, which I'll talk about. It is really important anytime we're talking about these types of activities that they are objective specific. So it's not just, hey, we're going out, we want to come see your manufacturing facility, but that we're tying our objectives to what our students are seeing. Field experiences, though, they can be expensive. We got to find the money for those. Logistically, we got to plan for them. We got to plan them out. We got to make lots of contacts, sometimes jump through hoops with central offices and those sort of things. The red tape can be a bit annoying. Attendance, if a student misses your in-person field trip, then they miss the whole thing. They miss the importance of that. Student conduct could be an issue when you are putting them actually into a facility. Age, I know there's a few places here in town specifically that I would love to get my students into, but their age requirements don't allow us to do that. GE is one of those places. They do some really cool tours for our local community college, but they don't allow my students to come in because of age, or something like Habitat for Humanity would be a great experience for some of our architecture students. However, age requirements limit us. And willingness, it's always getting the kids off campus and getting them willing and wanting to participate. So how else can we connect without leaving the building? That's what we're here to talk to you about today. With industry, we're going to talk about how we connect with industry, how we use other curriculums, and how we can use home to connect with others outside of the building. And also, we want to talk about the importance of promoting our program in order to build relationships with those outside stakeholders, and in order to promote our program in a way that we're recognized within the community and people see what we're doing. So first, we'll talk about connecting our classroom to industry. One great way for this is virtual tours. These can be 360-degree image tours. A lot of facilities are doing that now, where you go in and you can just kind of look around, or they are video virtual tours. There are some examples here of some virtual tours that you could go look at. One that I want to show you right quick. And you can research these and find them online. This is the College of Design at NC State. And it's going to load. Let's try that again. Well, looks like it might not load for us. But it takes you through what their design program is, and allows the students to see what it would be like to be in the School of Architecture. Some other examples would be, here's this one. So this is Frank Lloyd Wright's, one of his.
Welcome to Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin. Taliesin the house is the building that you can see up on the hill. Taliesin is just one of many buildings.
One of the great things about some of these is that they are narrated also. So, you put them in and they're pretty much a self-guided sort of thing for the students to follow through. And it takes you through, you can look around, at different architecture. And there's actually a lot of these out there on the internet. Now, unfortunately, some of them you do have to pay for. So there we are again, budget concerns and trying to find those sort of things. But you can find free ones out there. So virtual tours are a great thing to connect your students into industry. This is a manufacturing facility and I will share this PowerPoint with everyone. So you'll be able to see that. But this site here specifically has tons of virtual tours to different manufacturing facilities that you can go look at. So that's a great resource to have also. So virtual tours are a great way to immerse students within the classroom, outside of the classroom. Sometimes it is better to do these actually in partners or groups because they are self-driven. There's that little bit of accountability between partners or groups to stay on track. Recheck the links, just like that one that I was at, the link didn't work this time that I went to go to it. So they seem to disappear a lot. So that's just a tip. Look for ones with narration and guidance, like I was saying. It helps kind of progress the students a little bit instead of just the reading. If it has some speaking with it, some actual audio seems to work better in situations that I've experienced. And like I said, some require payment or pre-scheduling. So just know that could be a budget concern or just a logistical concern. Guest speakers are obviously a wonderful way to bring people into the classroom. And this can be in class, a traditional, hey, come in and see us, or it can be virtual. We now have done tons of virtual. Here we are doing a virtual, entire conference virtually. So having them come in and speak in class or virtual, this can be done really whole class, small group, or individual. So you can have somebody, virtually come in and talk to you guys. This is actually someone from it was a LEED sponsored person talking to my architecture students. This was a kitchen and bath designer, actually from somewhere in Seattle area. And she was actually, this one was really cool. She was able to send us the drawings that she was working on. We could review them. And then when we actually met with her, we could go over that. And that was a great way to connect a little more globally for students. While it might be still here in America, they were talking to someone all the way on the West Coast. So that was cool. And this was, someone in Washington, D.C. Here's a little more local. So this was a local engineer coming to speak to my students, and then someone from an art institute coming to talk to my students about design and where they could take our classes with their types of programs. I also do some guest speaking with students. So I keep in touch a lot with previous students. I highlight and highlight kind of where they are and what they're doing now on my website so that students who are currently in my class can kind of see the actual pathway take place. So this was a student, for example, an architecture student who came and brought us some drawings. And this was also him while he was on studying abroad in Rome. He talked to us one day about kind of what he was doing with that and how it was going. So use your previous students as guest speakers as well. Resources for guest speakers. Sometimes you might be like, I don't even know where to get started with that. There is a program, it's called NEPRIS.com. It does cost money. I've used things like our PTSO grants and that sort of thing to as resources for some monetary contributions to things like getting a classroom subscription to NEPRIS. You can do school, NEPRIS will do school and everything. The great thing about them is you basically, once you join, you say, hey, I want somebody to talk to us about this. They send it out to all their people all over the world. And the people then say, hey, cool, I'll come talk to your class about that. So it's really a great connection piece. NAF is also a great connection piece. And then, of course, use your CDC and your central office. That's what they're there for. They're here to support the career development of our students. So we want to use them as our resource to help us make those connections and set up some of those things for us. Notes and tips. It's important to make them feel special. And I'm not just talking about the person coming in. Obviously, you want to do that because you want your industry connection to last. So you want to make them feel special, but you also want to make it feel special to the students. So make it seem like a bigger deal than maybe it is to have someone come and talk to your class, but it is a big deal because we're connecting to industry. So make your students feel like it's something special for them to get to hear this person talk or connect with this person. Write a press release. This is important. We'll talk about connecting and promoting our classes later, but before the person comes and speaks and after, write a press release. A well-written press release is a huge, great tool to use, and share it with the professional that you are highlighting or speaking about. Encourage students ahead of time to ask questions. So sometimes what I like to do, depending on who it is and coming to speak, is I have students write down questions before they talk, not just while they're talking, but ahead of time. So then at the end, it's not this, crickets in the room, but they might actually have a question that wasn't answered during the presentation that they could then answer. And have students take notes during any time there is a professional speaking. That just keeps them engaged. Web quests. Web quests are inquiry-based activities where students are given a task and provided access to online resources. So through a web quest, and I'm sure you've probably heard of web quests before, maybe. If not, it's a great tool, a type of activity. But what you can do within a web quest is link questions within the web quest or activities, directives directly to business sites. Real post-secondary resources, link them to colleges and universities that have to do with whatever it is that you're talking about, or link them to real industry documents or resources. I do a lot with linking my students straight to the code books, for architecture, because that's really what they would need to do if they are going to be employed in that. They need to know how to go into the code book and find information. One example of a web quest that I have created, and I had to download it in a Google format. So we'll see if it pops up. Nope. See if I can find it right quick for you guys. So within the WebQuest, my students go in and they enter their first and last name. And then as they go through this, so this is a review from yesterday, why would we use precision or tolerance instead of basic coordinating? So review, I'll just write that so we can get to the. So watch the following video on the history of interchangeable parts. Do you think interchangeable parts made to be machined at the time of assembly? So they're watching a video and then answering a question. Show you another way that okay, so use the following site to answer the questions below. So I'm taking them in through a WebQuest into lots and lots of different industry websites, industry directives. Again, always make sure your links work before you get started. So there's an example of a WebQuest. If you want to go and take a look at that one, I do have a little more simple WebQuest, but there's pre-made WebQuests out there that you can find. So then this is a WebQuest made by this company. And then, the students can pick. They could pick aerospace, agricultural, architectural, biomed. As long as they're picking something that is related to our class, then, I might give them a list of the ones that they can choose from, drafting one. And then they go through this and can do an activity. Or I say, hey, pick 3. One has to be related to this class for sure. Notes on WebQuest. It doesn't have to be super fancy, so you don't have to do this like crazy form. It can just be a Word document that are questions that students are following. Make sure you're relating it back to a project or problem if possible. So when you're creating your WebQuest, you want to make sure, basically just that it's objective specific or problem specific. And it doesn't have to be long. These can be short little activities. A WebQuest could really be a bell ringer, as some people like to call them, or an entrance activity or an exit activity. Something, hey, you've got a little extra time today. Here's a WebQuest. Go complete it. Videos. Gosh, there's so many great videos out there. And as teachers, we don't always, although we've gotten pretty good about making videos this year for my students, but we don't always have time for these like crazy creative or budgets for these crazy creative videos. But there's so many out there. Make sure, you use those. TED Talks are a great way to bring somebody industry specific in and kind of narrow down a topic for your students. Videos do assess prior knowledge. So they connect prior knowledge that maybe a student you can't do in another way in the classroom. They enrich content. They connect to industry, so career resources and skills. They stimulate critical thinking. You're integrating technology, visual and audio learners, so you're reaching a different type of learner within your classroom. So obviously there's tons of resources out there for videos. I said put a couple of links in here for you guys. Obviously YouTube, and Puzzle is a great way to organize your videos, possibly connect some questions within the videos that you might want to ask. CTEskills.com is also another great resource for some videos. And there is a referenceseek.com. It's a directory for just educational videos that I've been able to find some great resources there. Tips, make sure they are authentic. So make sure they're real. Make sure they're, not too old. Make sure they are really covering what it is that you want to cover. Make sure you pre-screen them. We don't want to, something crazy popping up in the middle. We've understood. Well, I'll leave it at that. Guiding questions are always a wonderful idea for a video. So you don't want students to just, hey, here's a video, here's a 5-minute video. Speaking of time limits on videos, shorter videos are usually better, keeping it under 10 minutes for your students. But guiding questions just help students focus and drive the instruction. And subtitles are available. And for a lot of students, you might not even think like an ESL student, subtitles are amazing for them. Subtitles just for visual learners, while they might be visually, all right, I'm a visual learner because I can, I learn visually, but having those subtitles on there just help drive the content a little bit further. Virtual trainings and simulations. These are super upfront, but they are hard to find and they do usually cost money. So upfront note about those. But when you do find them, man, they are cool. Here's an example of one, a remote lab. Oh, not letting me use that link. But like I said, they kind of go quickly, but there are lots of them out there, and companies are starting to make new ones all the time because of the current situation that we're in. Let me see if I can find one real quick for you with just the information that I have. All right, so this was the site that I was going to show you. So there are virtual labs within this site and remote labs that you can use free of charge from UCF. And then this is 3D tuning, where you can talk about design with students, where they can, pick colors and design different parts of a car, a virtual lab. So you can talk about, all the different aspects of design with that as well, and link it into a lab type situation. Audiobooks and podcasts. Students really, they listen to music all the time. I listen to music all the time in my classroom too. And podcasts. There are tons of things out there. So headphones are something that my students have to bring with them. They are a regular part, just like a pencil for my class. So you better have headphones with you, earbuds, whatever, so that you can listen in my classroom. We do a lot of video tutorials and that sort of thing. So they need it for that. But we do a lot of other things as well. Examples of a podcast. Here is The Life of an Architect. The Life of an Architect is a podcast that students can listen to. It talks a lot about design, different things. So use those podcasts that are out there. Students do enjoy those. Games. No, you don't want your students playing games in class, but I do. I allow my students, especially during like free time, maybe at the end of class, if they're finished with an assignment and they're finished with a short project or something. So some examples of games or apps. Tinkercad is a great one I use with my Drafting 1 students a lot. It introduces them to 3D thinking and design, which we don't do a ton of with in Drafting 1. There's also roomstyler.com. I have an entire free time website on my website. So if a student has free time in my class, then they actually come to here and they have all these different things they can choose from to do. Some of them include things like podcasts, they can study they can practice for the ACT, they can read articles. So just some content-driven enrichment type activities, which have things like TED Talks. And then I do give them the option of some games if they have spent lots of time, if they are super ahead. Escape labs. So an escape lab, these are pretty cool. This is a video for an escape lab or an escape room, some people.
Where are we? So we're in the escape lab. When the players came in, they had to escape a space station that was orbiting Mars, and it was a live, interactive escape game on Twitch. This is part of our Emerging Platforms initiative.
So there are some escape labs. You've probably heard there are actually like escape boxes that you could get where students can basically, you give them a problem to solve and they slowly get through the box and that sort of thing. But escape labs are a good way to link outside sources into your classroom. And they do usually integrate some type of game as well, which the students love. So like I said, the free time, I use all of these things, some of these things to increase student engagement so that they have something content related afterwards. And I use downtime in class to link industry and provide choice to students. Choice in education and choice for students is a huge driving force within my classroom. And I think with overall pedagogy direction in general now is allowing students some choice. There's a link to my free time website if you are interested in that. So STEM or STEAM, you're hearing about it, education, we are the buzz right now. Industry is interested in helping us, and industry is interested in getting involved. Here's some different links as well for you to find events that are happening, find some things on construction careers. Amazon is really involved right now with wanting to get into your classroom. So industry is ready. Industry wants to be in your classroom in different ways. So please reach out to them and please use them. So connecting our classroom to other classes. Sometimes it's hard to get industry in, even though they are interested. And sometimes it's easier just to use other people within our building. So what I like to do is I use other classes as my industry. So teachers know the content area they teach, and teachers facilitate learning for their students. We are still doing, the NC teaching standards are being covered when we connect classes, cross-curricular projects. That we recognize the interconnectedness of content areas and disciplines, and it helps with critical thinking, problem solving, and teams and developing leadership qualities. There's a lot of opportunity for that in cross-curricular projects. The rationale, Now, some of those numbers are a little bit older, but they really have not changed that much, and some of them are a little scary. So ways that we can connect other classes into our classroom means that we are going to reach a more diverse group of students as well. And that leads them into interest in a STEM career or one of our classes. And then that further leads them into possibly taking that as a pathway. And it's what we need. We need students, studying our programs. They're important. So one way I connect other classes or do cross-curricular projects is through service projects. It's a great way to beautify your campus, right? So look around, look for something that's not functioning well within your campus, and find another class to go with you to do a cross-curricular project. These can be cross-curricular with other CTE classes, or you can do clubs. For example, one of the projects that we did, there was this little courtyard that really had no purpose to it. My classes designed what it was going to look like, and then a local Boy Scout troop came in and helped with the landscaping class on campus, our ag classes, to revamp the space and turn it into a pedestrian-friendly, walking, sitting, usable space on campus. Think of the other classes as your industry, and it becomes a little bit easier to plan a cross-curricular project. So if you are working with, your mechanical engineering or your engineering students on drawing and designing something, then get the marketing class involved to help market that product and get in on the design meetings. So use the other classes as industry. Some other ways, Drafting 1 students can observe upper level art classes when they're creating a perspective drawing. So that's something completely out of CTE. How can you get them involved? Another idea, Engineering 2 choice chamber for roly-polies for a biology class. So we had a biology class that had roly-polies that they were wanting to do these, it's called a choice chamber, a little thing for the roly-poly to crawl through. And my classes designed them with the biology classes, and then they 3D printed them for them. Engineering 3 students modeled roller coasters designed by a physics class. In Revit, in Inventor, and then we're able to actually show them, what it would, the marble traveling through the path and all of that. Architecture 2 students could pair up with interior design classes for home interior furniture placement. Architecture 3 pair with a child development class or a culinary class to design a commercial space for them. Other CTE areas are usually easier to integrate, so start there. But there also are other STEM classes, other clubs, even sports teams, those sort of things that you can integrate into your classrooms. You can do cross-county, cross-state, or cross-class projects. So pair up with another teacher to break up the project needs. So that's what I was talking about, with the marketing class doing one thing while my class is doing another, but they're together working on something. Use your own classes. So use a drafting one class and your engineering class to work together to design something. One big project that we did one year, this was a couple years ago now, not last year, obviously, or this past year, but the one before that, we paired up with the culinary classes. The culinary classes designed a cookie cutter that my students, along with my students, that they then modeled. Once the model was complete, then they were sent over to a different high school, a different engineering class to 3D print. Those students then sent the cookie cutters back to the culinary classes. The culinary classes baked the cookies. While that was going on, the engineering students gave 3D images and renderings to the Adobe classes, and the Adobe classes created packaging and thank you cards and recipe cards that were put together with all of that and given to the school board. So we did, across different schools, we did across different curriculums, we involved lots of students in this project, and it really didn't involve that much time within my classroom because we were able to break it apart and do, use other classes and other students as the industry or as the professionals. So connecting your classroom to home. In the way that the world is right now, we luckily were able to use and utilize home a lot. So taking some of those ideas that we had come across with and keeping them as we move forward, or expanding upon them, or just changing them a little bit. So where this falls in our teaching standards, teachers establish a respectful environment for a diverse population of students. We work collaboratively with family and significant adults in the lives of students. And the content you teach, they make instruction relevant to students. Facilitate learning for their students. Students develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills, and teachers communicate effectively. Progress emails. This is one of my favorite things I started in my classrooms, probably my second or third year teaching drafting. And this is I do weekly progress emails where they email their parents either on every Wednesday or Friday, depending on kind of where we are with, usually it's Fridays. And they send this email to their parent, but they copy me on it. And this is a professional email. I am super ridiculous probably with my students on the professionalism of their emails, because I think it is a skill that they have to be taught that they would not know otherwise. So they have to send it to their parents. They copy me on it. It is a professional manner. And they do a little bit of self-assessment in this. So usually I ask them to tell me their grade or any missing assignments. So they look back at their progress overall in class. They share something from class that they've created that week or have been working on. And then I also include some type of random interview question. If you had a superpower, what would it be? Something like that. And so they are self-assessing. They're looking at their overall progress. They're looking at their current progress. And then their, the random interview questions, kind of just for fun, but it is still developing those soft skills for students. They do need to be regular. So it's not just hey, right before progress reports, but weekly or bi-weekly type of thing that they are sending so that it's ongoing self-assessment for them. An example of one of my weekly emails from a student. It's directing me to Might go faster if I log in real quick. All right, so here's an example of a weekly email from a student, Adam Proctor, just graduated, super excited for him. He is going to the College of Engineering at NC State. So, dear parents, I have a 99 in this class. Here's a link to my manufacturing website that he created. My favorite Thanksgiving food is sweet potatoes. And then you can see that the parent emails them back. And I do ask parents at the very beginning of the semester to email their students back. Some continue that communication, and it really turns into a great relationship building piece with students at home. I have had parents who say, you know what, this is the only time my teenager talks to me, so this is great. So, you can see his dad, hey, great job. And then sometimes it's just a short comment back from me. Thank you for your weekly progress email. Or this is somewhere where you can share information with parents about something going on in your classroom. Hey, we've got credentials coming up, something like that, a great way to respond back to them. I do have my students always email me, and then I always respond to all. That way I know that the parent is getting the emails and they're not sending it to some fake random address. But that's a great way to connect with home. Work or accountability contracts. So students email parents when completed with large assignments or projects. Students contact parents with reminders on needs. You can use Remind. We can't in our county anymore to contact parents. But these accountability or work contracts are basically just kind of a flow chart for a student of what it is that they need to accomplish this week. So it's, hey, this week I'm accomplishing this, and they sign off on it or send it home for the parent to sign off on so that they understand and know what it is that student needs to be completing that week. And the student then can actually send that to parents as well. They could send it to them and say, hey, this is what I have to get finished by the end of this week. And you can make that also very individually based with your students or project based. Virtual conferences and reviews. Hey, we all know how to use Zoom or Google Meets or something like that now. Keep using it. Keep using it. It is a wonderful way for your student to connect with somebody at home. So have your students still Zoom with their parents and show them what they're doing, especially if it's like a big project. Keep it positive, keep it formative and supportive. So, if it's a big project, you have your students Zoom still with their parents and show them what they're working on. Show them the things, have them share their screens. Again, we're developing those soft skills for students, those professional skills that they would need to be able to host or to share their screens. And this is also a great place, you can see in this one picture here, a great place to invite administration or other stakeholders in as well. Showcases or presentations. Invite your parents in to see your students' work within the classroom. Invite other teachers in to see the work. Invite other students from other classes. If your students complete a big project, make them present it somehow. Have them create a website about it and share that website. Some type of presentation skill for projects so that they are learning how to share ideas. These can be individual. They can be groups, they can be cross-curricular, but it's important, the showcase or presentation, invite parents and invite people from outside to come in to see that. Promoting your program. So this is important in order for you to foster connections with other students or with other classes, with other teachers, with industry, and with home. So you have to promote your program in order to have the available resources for connecting to the outside world. This also helps establish a respectful environment for a diverse population of students, an environment in which each child has a positive, nurturing relationship, works collaboratively with families and significant adults, and you know the content. You make it relevant to students when you promote your program. Communicating effectively is all part of this. Professional presentations of projects. Use resources that you have. Use your computers. Gosh, we're super lucky that most of us have computers every single day. Some of us are one-to-one. I'm not yet, but we're hopefully getting there in this county. Invite professionals in and invite stakeholders. So this is another one of the projects that my students completed on like bettering a area on campus. We were creating a presentation type space at the front of campus. And we used our College and Career Center to hold a presentation to show other stakeholders within the community and within the school. We invited, a PTSO person in to hopefully get them on board with the project. And so that they can see what it is that you're doing within your classroom. This project now, actually, this student right here has gone on and has started his own landscaping business. And we now have plans for him to come back and actually help complete this project with, hopefully we just switched out our ag or landscape teacher. So hopefully with the landscape classes here on campus. So that'll be a cool kind of full circle thing there. Design showcases. This is what I was talking about before. Invite other classes into your design showcases. So have your students, when they finish a project, when they finish something cool, show it. Invite people in, invite the community, invite stakeholders, invite central office, invite the Board of Education in to see in your classroom what it is that you're doing. This not only makes the students feel great about what they have accomplished, but also allows other people to see what it is you're doing to buy into connecting with your classroom. They also promote program enrollment. So cross-curricular projects, here's one where students designed an ornament with another engineering, just a basic tech ed class, and then they designed the actual, things that they hung on or the display cases. So that promotes program enrollment too. And then the foods class designed cookies that went along with each of the ornaments. So that led some other students into taking my classes. So into connecting with, with my program area. So promoting it that way. Press releases, they're super important. It is the easiest way to promote your program within the building. Send it everybody within the school system and outside of the school system. Make sure you're writing them before and after, so you're letting people know it's coming. So then maybe somebody from the news will come, maybe somebody from central office will come, and after, so that you can share pictures and those sort of things. And you want to really keep it simple. Don't write a ton. Write it as if it sounds like an actual news article, so that they can just take it, plop it in there if they want to share it somewhere. I like to include hashtags at the bottom of mine so that they're easy to use, to go straight to Twitter. And sometimes now I'll even do a basic press release written, and then at the bottom I'll do Twitter, with a shorter version that people can take and share on something, short on social media. And include pictures, take pictures. I know a lot of school systems, it's super important to get those photo release forms for students. A photo release form is something I send out to every student with my beginning of the semester documentation. So when I'm getting beginning of the semester type information from them, I'm getting those photo release forms so that I know that I have them, because I take pictures in my classroom all the time and put them out on social media. Social media and websites. So that's also really important. Making sure you have some type of virtual presence. Now, every school system has different rules about what it is that you can have and can't have. We can't have a Facebook, but we can have a Twitter. So making sure you're following those rules, but then also making sure your virtual presence is there. You really do want to make sure your website is up to date with information. Some people we use Canvas now. So really my website is nothing more than a promotional piece for my class. It's a place for people to come and learn about what it is that my class is doing, and not so much a way for me to give information to students on a regular daily classroom type scenario. So think of it that way. If you are using Canvas or another type of platform, then use your website, your school website, as a promotional piece for your class. So the takeaways from today. The easiest way to start with any of these things is to start with one unit or one project. So pick one indicator on, from our blueprint, or pick one thing that maybe you want to start doing. Take it, try it, and then see how it goes. Don't be afraid to contact industry professionals. Again, like I said, they are interested in being in our classrooms. The worst that's going to happen is they'll just say no. I've gotten myself on lots of email lists. I know it's like, oh, great. But like the local chapter for the American Institute of Architects, I get their emails so that I can see what's going on in the professional world, so that I then can learn some names or maybe find some contact people through that. Ask for business cards. I asked for business cards my first semester. I was here once I had come back from industry and was teaching again. I was a kitchen and bath designer, came back, and then they were like, okay, now I need for you to, promote your program and bring in some outside people. And I said, well, then I need business cards. And they said, well, no, but teachers never asked for those. I said, well, you should give them to every single one of your CTE teachers. So ask for them, see if they'll give you some. If not, maybe make some. But business cards for networking. So if you do meet an industry professional somewhere, you attend a after work function or something, and you meet someone and you talk to them, you can look like a professional as well and hand them your card. Promote. Do it before, do it during, and do it after. Promoting is one of the best ways that we can then connect with the outside world. And make sure you are also using professionalism yourself. So promoting it within your students, promoting it within bringing industry in, promoting it by, you're connecting with home, but also yourself, making sure you are using professionalism. Connect to professionals that the students relate with. This is a TED Talk on, I'll leave it for you to watch if you would like to come back and watch that. But it is an African-American Black woman who is an engineer, and she basically said, I never knew that I could even do this because nobody looked like me. Nobody acted like me. Nobody came from the same place I did that was an engineer. So we really want to connect our students with people that they do relate with and can see themselves as a further driving force. Again, one of the ways I do this is on my website. I have a section devoted all to, hey, these are my old students. This is what they're doing now. So they can see like, hey, this person came from Hoggard, came from this class, and now they actually are an engineer, or they actually are an architect, or they're in school to be a landscape engineer, or they didn't do anything in this profession, but they still talk about how they, the emails that they wrote in my class, or that they learned, the soft skills or the presentation skills that they learned in my class and how they use those. Here's some resources that I used for today's presentation if you want to look further into those as well. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for listening today. Again, my name is Blair Dean. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, blair.dean@nhcs.net. Or you can visit my website for some more information on this professional development or others.